Hello everybody and welcome to some more Tasty Tuesday tips. As you know, we've been doing a little journey through some different world cuisines. I started off looking at some general overview of what cuisine seems to be generally healthier than others, and then we identify that no one country in the world is the best. There's good parts you can get from many places. The second one, we started looking at a generic look at the Mediterranean diet and realised that does have a lot of qualities. Last week we focused specifically on a country, France, and looked at some of the things the French diet's doing that might be useful that we could take on board. And this week I've gone for a completely different country in the Middle East, so some Middle Eastern cuisine coming out now. And we're going to look at the cuisine and the country of Lebanon. So Lebanon has been in the news a little bit lately, unfortunately because of that terrible explosion. But it has an amazing cuisine, which you may have been into a Lebanese restaurant. You may already know about it. So really, in a way, when you look at Lebanese cuisine, it normally will appear in the top 10 on most lists of the world's healthiest cuisines. And in a way, the Lebanese diet is really a Mediterranean diet. Well, why do I say that? Well, if you have a look on the map where Lebanon is, it sits just above Israel. You've got Syria to one side, and you've got Turkey above it, and its whole coast is on the Mediterranean Sea. So it's really an extension, I suppose, of the Mediterranean diet, meeting with some Middle Eastern input, which does produce, in my opinion, quite a healthy cuisine. So it's made up of things such as that we've talked about before: olive oil, garlic, lemon, fresh herbs and spices, fruits, vegetables, fresh fish, seafood in general. If they eat meat, it's generally going to be poultry. So overall, when you listen to those foods I've just mentioned, it does sound quite Mediterranean, doesn't it? Specifically, they do use a lot of things like lemon, legumes, that's beans of all varieties, including lentils. They use quite a lot of tahini, which is the crushed sesame seeds. So already, I'm sure you can picture. And their big use of herbs and spices, of course, makes their food incredibly flavoursome, which is really why a lot of people like Lebanese food. It doesn't seem to have the heat, but it's got a lot of flavour. So those sort of foods I've mentioned are generally consumed in much greater quantities that I've mentioned compared to things like in the West. A lot of maybe red meats, a lot of processed foods, a lot more dairy. So in Lebanon, not as much of that. Even high starch carbohydrates aren't that common. So you wouldn't, for example, see people eating huge amounts of bread or noodles or potatoes, but much more lentils, beans, as I've mentioned, smaller amounts of rice, that is in there as well. But in general, their overall starchy carbohydrates seem quite low compared to, say, a Western cuisine. So it makes the cuisine, as I've said, very tasty because of the big use of spices and fresh herbs. So I'm going to mention one or two ingredients that they use and just spend a couple of moments on those, and then I'm going to share a recipe online as well linked to Lebanese cuisine. So the first one would be parsley. Fresh parsley is used in abundance in their traditional dish, tabbouleh. Tabbouleh, which is a vegetarian salad really. So what's good about parsley? Well, it aids digestion, which you probably knew. It's got that crisp, fresh, green sort of flavour, high in antioxidants to protect the body, and high in vitamin K as well, which is obviously highly used in your blood clotting cascade. So tabbouleh, the salad that's quite common, would have things in it like chopped parsley, tomatoes, mint, another key ingredient there, onion, Bulgar, olive oil, lemon, black pepper. So already that might sound to you, that sounds very tasty. And obviously the use of Bulgar promote giving the protein content. So a nice dish. So moving on, I will just touch on mint briefly there as well, because it's in a lot of other recipes. And obviously they do drink a lot of fresh mint tea. Good one for digestion again. Provides a good impact of vitamin C and carotenes, which are vitamin A compounds, which could help with things like immune system. So another great herb that you'll see throughout the Middle East, not just Lebanon. The next one I would probably focus on is their ingredient they use a lot, lentils, amongst other pulses. So lentils, number one, easy to cook. So the recipe I'm going to share you is on lentils. Easy to cook, high in fibre. What's one of the nutrients most of us are low in the West? Fibre. So that's a good addition. A lot of good B vitamins in the lentils. And a lot of people aren't getting the whole spread of B vitamins. And the lentils do seem to have a good array of the main B vitamins, which are used in all a variety of things, from metabolism to all different processes. Low in calories, of course, and they take up flavours very well. So if we're going to use lentils in any kind of dish, then we know the flavour will be taken up. They've got a good, sometimes quite a meaty, buttery sort of feel to them. So, and they're quite filling. So it's a good one to use. So lentils, another key ingredient. The next one, lemon. So they tend to use lemons a lot, either the juice, preserved lemons, in any variety. Obviously popular in one of the dishes such as hummus, the other dip baba ganoush, which is using more of things like aubergines. Very common in those sort of dips. Why would a lot of lemon or lemon juice be good? Lots of vitamin C. Increases things like iron absorption. So in that recipe of tabbouleh, it will definitely help your iron absorption from vegetarian sources, improving digestion, lowering risk of kidney stones because of its vitamin C and citric acid content. So that's another good one. So lots of fresh lemons all the time. And the next ingredient is, I'm not saying it's specific to Lebanon, but it's definitely one of their favourite kind of herbs, if you like. And it's called a zatar. Have you ever heard of zatar? Well, zatar is a culinary herb. It's also the same word you use for a family of herbs, but confusingly, I suppose, as well, it's also the name for a spice mix. Now, when I trundle down, because I used to make my own zatar spice mix, but if you go down to Asda's, can you see that there? Zatar. And zatar, this is used in a lot of Lebanese cuisine, is generally a blend of toasted sesame seeds, dried sumac, salt, other spices such as thyme, oregano are often in there as well. So every zatar mix you get might be slightly different. It might not be quite exactly the same. And obviously if you make your own. So when I made my own, I just got some plain sesame seeds, toasted them, and blended it with some dried sumac. I think I used thyme, oregano, that sort of thing. Very flavoursome, keeps well, and it's used throughout. So maybe give that a try yourself. Or, like I say, pop down to your supermarket, Asda. And Asda do sell quite a range of different spices for different cuisines, I've noticed as well. So that's a very quick overview of the Lebanese cuisine. As I mentioned, lots of fresh herbs. So that would be the key one you would see. Parsley, mint, thyme, oregano particularly. We touched then on lentils of all varieties, filling, fibrous, full of B vitamins and low calorie. And they're brilliant to take up flavours. We mentioned the lemons, preserved, the juice of them, or the whole lemon. Great for vitamin C, good citric acid, lowers the risk of kidney stones, and gives you a lot more vitamin C and iron absorption. And then we just finished on zatar. So the recipe I'm going to share with you online is called Lebanese warm lentils. Sounds quite nice, doesn't it? And in this one I chose it because it's got the lentils, garlic, another big Mediterranean ingredient there, the olive oil, it's got the parsley, the mint, the lemon, a few other spices like cumin, probably a dash of zatar in there as well, and that'll get posted online for you to enjoy. So I've hoped you've liked this little quick, speedy through Lebanese cuisine. If you've never tried Lebanese cuisine, have a trawl on the internet. I'm sure you'll find easy recipes like tabbouleh that I mentioned, and a whole host of other really flavoursome dishes. Give them a try, like baba ganoush, the dish. That's a nice one to try as well. And happy eating, healthy eating. Until next time, bye bye for now.